Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think seeking out people, like I said, if it gives you an idea of kind of the art or the price range, that's good information. I would then take that in looking into, I mean, you can even type like freelance illustration as a hashtag into Instagram and see what people, or Twitch emotes or whatever specific thing you're looking for. Because a lot of us, when we post about logos that we've created, tag it as that because it's literally our portfolio out to the world. But yeah, I found because there's such a vast sea of it, either interacting with people directly here at cons, if they do more branded type work, like a lot of my stuff has branding on it. So when people talk to me, I talk about logo design. Other artists do that, or finding communities of people with art that you like and then asking them, word of mouth gets me more work than me advertising it.
All right. So yeah, let's, I guess, officially kick off the panel. So welcome to Building Your Brand. We are here to, now this is actually the last time I'm going to say it. We are here to actively build someone's brand. So a logo and a press kit and marketing kind of guidance throughout our panel in real time. So if you have a brand that you are looking to build and you want to be considered for that, go ahead and get your name on a slip of paper up in the front here, put it in the hat. We'll kind of give y'all till we are done introducing ourselves. We'll do the drawing and ourselves going. The only thing we ask is that if your name is drawn, you stay the whole time so that you can see what happens at the end. So come on up and do that. While that's happening, remember that the DragonCon charity partner for 2023 is Cure. Cure is dedicated to conquering childhood cancer through funding targeted research while supporting patients and their families. Use the QR codes to donate. DragonCon matches up to $125,000, so please make them do that.
Yes.
Also, our official track sponsor for 2023 is Zakat for over hot pops on those mics. For over 22 years, they've been empowering lives through disaster relief, food distribution, orphan care, and more. Their top-notch ratings from Charity Navigator and Wise Giving Alliance means your contributions are going to make a difference. Zakat.org. So also, if you scan the QR code, you can donate to Cure through that. If you scan this middle QR code, you can get into the digital media track Discord, which is a really great place for resources, questions like that. Where can I find a logo that I can trust?
Also, all of us are.
And also, we're all there. So the goal of this is to produce something for one person, but also to be valuable for all of you. So we've got a whole PowerPoint presentation because I love them. And let's get ourselves introduced. I'm Steph Craniola. I'm a content strategist. You can find me at linktree/Kruggles. That is also going to be up on a QR code in a second. But yeah, I do a lot of kind of niche nerd stuff, Shakespeare, D&D, soccer, etc.
Yeah. I'm Swan. I'm a swan named Emily all across the internet. I am an illustrator. I'm a graphic designer. I illustrate my own comics. I Twitch stream art. I run groups of artists that Twitch stream. I also show at Comic-Cons. I worked professionally as a advertisement designer at a newspaper for a while, and then I worked professionally as a graphic designer at a garment decorating company doing logos for schools and for screen printing and embroidery. So a lot of background in that, as well as my own illustration stuff. But yeah, all over the place at a swan named Emily.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tyra Burton. Nice to see all here today. This is a packed room. Awesome. I'm a professor of marketing at Kennesaw State University. I am a consultant in digital media marketing and brand building. And I have a podcast called Building Bold Connections through my college that talks about leadership. And you can find me on the web at tyraburton.com.
Yeah, I am Mike Craniola. I luckily am married to Stephanie, but that is not my only source of credential up here. I am also a content creator and a project manager in my day-to-day work. So I have a lot of kind of jack of all trades skills and an inch deep but a mile wide kind of expertise, right? Which I think doesn't always get the right amount of value, right? But is absolutely super valuable in a lot of these kind of spaces. And so you can find me at Future X Skeleton all over the internet because today I am alive, but we don't know what'll happen in the future.
Well, that's depressing. Jeez, moving on now.
So today we're going to cover logo, we're going to cover brand kit. Those are a couple of the really essential things tangibly that you need to get started. Then we're going to talk about strategy and social media marketing to give you a little bit of a push forward to make sure you know who you are and how to encompass everything that you're doing. Then we're going to talk about budgeting. So we'll show some of our price sheets and talk about these services in the real world and where you can find them, what ranges you're looking to spend, etc. If you scan this QR code up here, that will take you to my link tree. But the second link, donate to Cure, is the first link. But the second link is this presentation in Canva. So take a look at that if you want to follow along, or if you want to bookmark it for a later time, or if you want to follow my podcast.
Please do.
So while I'm going to leave that up there for a second, and Michael, will you go grab the hat?
Yes.
Da-na-na-na.
Vanna White's nice.
Yeah, you are.
I
Vanna
know,
White.
we need sound
See,
effects.
so many skills.
Yeah. Does anyone still need a second on this QR code? I see a couple phones up, so let's.
They're having too much fun next door.
We're
We're gonna
Yeah,
have
we
to
get-
cheer
yeah.
at some point just to outdo them.
Yeah.
Oh, we get a cheer coming up.
It's written in.
Who
it's
put
really-
a blank?
Boo!
Oh yeah, we
There
can
is
boo.
Somebody. Boo. It was
Boo!
just stuck to whatever. All right, Carl Fisk.
Yeah.
All right. So, Carl, we're going to bring you up to ask you a bunch of questions in just a minute. Does anyone still need a moment on this QR code? Cool. One thing we want to talk about just really quickly beforehand is why it's so important to build a consistent brand, right? Because you might have you as a person, and then you have 17 different shows or projects or things that are all spread across the internet, and you are really trying to pull them all together in a consistent way. So we've got our personal brand logos up here, and building a personal brand is really important. And then also kind of carrying the vibe of that brand through all of your projects is a great way to connect things together. You're going to want to have separate logos for your podcast, your Twitch channel, all of those things. But you'll see, so Swans is at the start. And Swan, can you talk just for a quick second about like your brand consistency and how you show that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my brand is, I love the look of chalkboard art. So a lot of my stuff has a chalkboard background with a character because I'm an illustrator, because I work on comics. I love that character aspect of it. I like bright, fun characters that bring it in, but I focus on that very neutral background with the pop of color coming from the character. For the other projects, for Doodle Crew is all a sketching and drawing group of artists. So with that, it still feeds into that same kind of sketchiness. So you automatically associate it with me, but it is neutral enough because the artists that I feature on that run the gamut. We have so many amazing makers and creators. We have a drag queen, like all these different types of art that fall into that. And then even with, in addition, which is the podcast, it still has that character forward element to it. So it's not as sketchy because it's a different type of show. It's more of a chat show, but you still get that character forward personality coming through.
Yeah, awesome. Tyra, how about you?
So if you'll notice the pinks that are everywhere, you might notice it in my hair too. I have a color palette, and I use that color palette throughout everything that I do. If I was doing PowerPoints, they would have those colors in them. I also chose fonts because I love fonts, and fonts are amazing. So I have very particular fonts that I use in different situations. The Building Bold Connections podcast I do had no input on it at all. It looks like nothing that's connected to me, but it might look like what's connected to my college. So when you step outside and you're doing something for another production company, sometimes it's not going to fit. But in general, you'll see me with the same fonts, the same colors, and sometimes I slap my picture on it.
Mike?
Yeah. I grew up in the punk and hardcore scene. And so
That explains it.
for me, everything is, can this look grimier? Can this look higher contrast? Can this look more like split out, right? And so my personal brand, some of the things about me are that, and the fact that I have like really long arms. Those are like two of the things that people notice pretty quickly about me. like I have a +5 wingspan. If anyone knows what that means, it means my arms are 5 inches longer than I am tall. And so I like to say
people are normally 0.
Yeah, normal people. Normally, people are kind of square, and so, like, for me, being able to give really good hugs, right? And so I want to show that off in my branding, and so we used like little finger monster puppets on our wedding cake as our wedding cake topper. And so I took the arms off of those and we made them skeleton arms because my socials are future skeleton, right? And then for our Dungeons and Dragons podcast, Adventure Incorporated, when we were working with our logo designer, one of the things that we really wanted to capture is I want this to look like it could be a fantasy adventuring company. And I want this to feel easy to screen print if I decide, if I get a wild hair and decide that I'm going to screen print our own T-shirts like I'm 17 again, right? This is doable. And so I wanted it that high contrast, that simple line drawing style so that I can make patches on my own. I can make T-shirts on my own. And I think the stickers just look so sick. I don't know where they went to.
Under hat.
Great.
Yeah. So for mine, the through line of all of my content is storytelling, whether it's a D&D or Shakespeare or literally anything else that has a story, because I feel like even our soccer podcast, we talk about the narrative behind the sports. That's the, for the real nerds, that's a Freytag's pyramid of a storytelling arc. It also kind of looks like an audio wave spike since most of what I do is podcasting. So that's the inspiration behind my logo. But like Tyra, I have a color story. Everything is in that kind of slated purples, blues color scheme. So everything kind of looks like it belongs in the same family. So we just kind of wanted to give an example of where we are and the different ways that you can keep your brand consistent throughout all of your projects. And now we're going to bring Carl up here. If we can, if someone can swing this chair maybe up over next to Tyra. Or if we want to,
do you want to put it here and I'll move over?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Because then Carl can have a mic as well.
Carl, come have a mic.
Everyone, give a round of applause for Carl.
Give a second round of applause for Carl's pants. Let's go.
Carl's pants. Okay, here, take my mic. Okay.
All right. So. And again, as we walk Carl through all of this, we have all of the questions that like you should be asking yourself. Take notes on how you would answer these things because those are going to arm you, whether you go off and do it on your own or whether you are working with different creators to build your brand kit. Like these are things that you can take forward to start thinking about. So Carl, can you tell us a little bit just about yourself, your content, your pronouns, your mediums, all of the things that you do?
Yeah, sure. So pronouns he, they. As far as content that I'm creating, I just keep adding hats or feathers to my hat. I started doing acting in New York and then got into an underground silent disco, like silent rave scene. So I brought that down to Atlanta when I moved here. So now I like DJ and run a silent rave down here. I do fight choreography. I did a bunch of stuff for several years for the Harlem Public up in Manhattan. For fight choreo for a few years. I also do armored combat on the side. So I got involved in that and like have multiple like national medals in armored combat and stuff like that. So like I just kind of do things and then keep doing them. And as a result, my brand has just.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start with Swan here because she has the most work to do. Yeah. So we've got some thought questions to get you started. I do have them here if you don't want to keep looking back. So yeah, let's take it away for first one.
Okay, so for your logo, is this a brand to represent you specifically when you want to go out and say, hire me for this thing? Or is this just a way to collect people to seeing your stuff and then they can learn more about it from there?
I feel like the second one would probably be the best one because it could be a catch-all that then I can direct them in the correct direction.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the goal, so I'll say some of the reason behind these questions is we talked about it. It's the brand recognition. I want to know that when people look at this specific thing, they think of my brand or they think of me. So
Cool.
that's is there any specific elements that you really think fall under like what you would like to see in your brand or?
I feel like I have my dad was a Boy Scout leader, and that definitely rubbed off. So like my whole ethos is leaving the world a better place than you found it. So I kind of, and that's sort of the through line in a lot of the stuff that I wind up doing and why I stay involved with it, just because spreading joy or increasing someone's quality of life.
Think it. I have to think and talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard.
So more technical questions to it. Is there anything specific you see for the artwork of it? And that's not a trick question. It can be, you can say no to me. That's fine.
Yeah, not specifically elements I've used in the past. I've because I had an armored combat gym up in Brooklyn for a while. So a lot of sword imagery, stuff like that. I use a lot of I'm a big old history nerd. So I like to incorporate things like that into it. But as the brand has expanded it and I've gotten into like writing in like the field of like applied moral philosophy and stuff like that, as I've moved in, like it's away from the swords and stuff. So I'm that's sort of what I guess my biggest question is exactly what you just posed to me. So you did an excellent job of anticipating.
Brand design is therapy.
It is. It is. So this is I'm trying to speak very quickly so I don't eat up more of my work time, but there is a visual shorthand in the world of graphic design. Using specific fonts, using specific imagery subconsciously makes your brain assume something about the logo. If you search on Google for farmers market, you will see slightly distressed kind of folksy fonts with really simple, it's not super colorful. It's usually a couple little pieces of clip art, but with this kind of distressed look. It's because when we look at that, it automatically makes us think like, oh, that must be farm to table, that must be homemade. It's a reason why they talk about the branding of organic things, like why you use a softer font, why you use certain colors, why you use very crisp like leaf outlines, because visually it makes you automatically think of this thing. So without using any words to describe it, you've already gotten the person to that level of what they're thinking. So for this, what I'd love to do is have something that is very strong, very powerful, but the smaller elements of it are the little bit more delicate parts. It's the beauty of like the music and the rave and the other aspects of it in this very tough looking logo that has that multitude to it. It's the goal. This is the goal. Anything as far as specific colors or types of fonts that you just like or like for this?
I like anything archaic.
Okay.
So I like archaic fonts in general. That's most of what I use. As far as color schemes, I do some reds, but a lot of monochrome.
That's good. That's what I was thinking. Yay! Monochrome. Cool. All right. I might have more questions later, but I'm going to turn it over to you so I can noodle.
Perfect. I know this. We're like trying to crunch our stuff out there so that Tyra and Mike are going to do some more prompting questions, but also take y'all's questions as we go. So we're just like in the info gathering.
Love it.
All right. So if you have any type of content, you need to make yourself a press kit right now. Luckily for Carl, they're going to get a press kit in the next 30, 40 minutes.
No pressure.
So whatever you do, you want to make sure that you have a brand kit, a press kit, some version of this that has your picture on it. It has your logo on it. It has links to all of your content. So, I picked a few of my favorite episodes that I think really showcase my stuff. Put the links right in the PDF. You want to talk about your followers across platforms. You want to highlight the platforms that you are most active on. Give a little bio. Give a little sense of, like mine says, like a niche nerd something. Wholesome, chaotic niche nerd is my like brand. And then you want to make sure that it's visually impactful and that if you're trying to sell yourself or pitch yourself to get on someone else's show, if you're trying to get someone on your show or try and like build your brand connections with other folks, if you have this and can attach it as a PDF to an email, this says so much more than hey, I do a podcast about Shakespeare and I was wondering if you'd be really interested in coming on, because they see right away that A, you're taking yourself seriously, and B, they can tell if it's something that aligns with what they want to do. So they don't have to ask you for further questions. Usually this gives enough information for them to go off of. So if you don't have one of these, this is it's really, really important. Even if you don't have a logo, even if you don't have like a brand yet, start to make this for yourself because you'll see the pieces come together. I was like, I do too many things. How do I connect Shakespeare and D&D and soccer and a variety show and art and all of these things? But once I put it on the page, I was like, I'm still just telling stories. And so that kind of inspired the logo, and everything fell into place from there. It's hard to pull that thread, but you got to pull it.
So, quick question in the intro, just quick. Okay, so as far as the actual verbiage, what would you like it to say? Would you like your name? Would you have a brand name? So, like, I introduced myself. My actual name is Emily Swan. I branded myself as a swan named Emily. Now, that doesn't tell anybody what it does, but it means it is my artistic personality that I use in the world.
Cool.
So,
I've been using Carl of House Fisk thus far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Gives
awesome.
people a vibe.
What was that?
Carl of House Fisk. My last name's Fisk.
everything's spelled.
Perfect.
Yes,
Carl with a K
exactly.
or-
C with
Oh,
a C.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's good, good.
Haven't done any manifestos yet.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
coming. I get angrier
Moral
and angrier every year.
philosophy. I was gonna say
Exactly.
moral philosophy's in there. It's coming.
Yep. High fives.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. So additionally, like this is less important for starting, but still as you move down the line, you're going to want to create a brand kit for yourself. This includes all of the fonts that you love so that you don't have to go searching for new ones every time. It includes the hex code for all of the colors that you like, and it's got imagery. It's got your logo, different uses of your logo. If you're like Mike and you want to screen print a logo that is in color, you want to pare it down for something that is fewer layers.
Yeah, get as many options for people who want to use it to promote the work that they do with you, right? To try to match them is kind of a benefit to a style guide like that.
Exactly.
In my other life, our company will give these out to the people that we do brand partnerships with, and our lawyers will vociferously defend only the approved marks,
logo
right?
use is really important. Like, you can't stretch it, you can't change it, make it look how I wanted it to.
Certain brand guidelines that we work for big like Fortune 500 companies, we as embroiderers, we even had to be specific about the millimeters away from the logo that other text could like. Following that style guide is so important, and they mean business.
And the more you set yourself up with that information, the more professionally people will take you.
Exactly.
So.
Oops. Undo.
And it sounds like a lot, but it's really not once you get the ball rolling.
Correct. All right, so I've got some questions for you, Carl. What piece of content are you most proud of?
Do you want something fully finished or something we're in the works on?
Something fully finished.
Fully finished. Let's see. Probably. I won a thing on History Channel, Night Fight. So probably that.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, that's how I got involved.
Hey, there's a vote.
Yeah.
Let's give a vote.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Just generally.
Just generally.
Yeah.
I feel like we might know a person
Probably do.
in common. So that distracted me. What is the thing that you were gonna say if I said not finished?
I'm doing and producing a documentary on how combat sports are helping military vets and other people with violence-related PTSD to deal with their traumas.
Yes.
Excellent.
That's
Okay,
so sick.
that's so cool. What social channel do you spend the most time on?
Instagram.
Okay, and then if you could describe your personality in 3 to 5 words.
Probably rye. W-R-Y.
The bread, not the bread.
Not the bread. I'll eat it. I love it. Love me a good Reuben, man.
You put a little
Yeah,
bread in the
exactly.
logo.
Bread
Got it.
lover. So that I'd say tenacious. Oh boy, let's think here.
Spell that one for me.
Oh, T. There we go. I was like, I don't know.
Also not the bread.
Google.
Yes,
No.
also not the bread. Yeah. Right, tenacious. Can I put an alignment? A neutral good alignment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It would be that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I know it.
As a technical question, and obviously if you don't know these off the bat, when I send you this, you can change them. But roughly, across platforms, how many followers, downloads, whatever your preferred stat is
I'm real bad at social media, so it's 2,000 something like that. Yeah,
for
Perfect.
followers.
yeah, for followers on
Okay.
it.
And then what like pieces of media? So you have the I imagine the award. It links to something on History Channel.
Yeah, we have that. As far as other media pieces that I use from acting, I had a 2-season arc on The Path on Hulu. So I've got footage from that and everything. I have some of the fight footage that I've done as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's
Who would you be sending this to?
well, likely agents, casting directors. I'm working on getting a literary agent right now. So I have a acting and stunt agent, but looking for potentially managers, that sort of thing. Reps.
Yeah.
Great. All right. That's on me. That's my time. So I'm gonna pass this along to Tyra and Mike, who might have some further questions for you, but also this is gonna be a chance for y'all to ask some questions as well.
Yeah, I guess my first question for this is like, given the spread of like opportunity, right? Like in a lot of acting work, right? There are specific acting CVs that you would use, right? Is there a focus that you want this press kit to be for?
Okay, a focus in terms of like pursuit that I'm using.
Yeah. So like you might develop 2 or 3 press kits based on the same template,
Yes.
depending on where you want to send it, right?
Okay.
So
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, we'll just do an acting one for this one, for now, if that's cool. Unless you think something would be more interesting and better to showcase things, in which case we can do that.
Steph, what do you think?
I think acting is fine.
Cool.
I think if you're looking for an agent, like the fact that you do fight choreo and all of that, the silent disco definitely throws a wrench in the brand, but I think we can make it work.
Yeah, I think like a special skills section,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Cool.
Yeah, actually, have you guys looked at his website?
Yes.
Okay. Well, don't tell me.
Well, the first thing I did. Sorry.
They're down here going, here it is. They don't share with the class.
I went art first. I went
I understand.
image search first. So.
I went website first.
Yeah,
It's
and so-
stunning.
Tyra,
I mean,
what do you think is the first question that jumps out to you?
When I see it, so like when I look at it, I think historian,
Mhm.
and I have to dig to find you're an actor.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's where you're focusing, we want to see more of that.
Okay.
And also, there's a lot of text. Oh, you're he's a certified scuba diver as well.
I just like doing things.
I was on a panel recently with actors from Stargate, and they were mentioning that like everyone mentions scuba diving in their acting CV, and then none of them actually can,
Really?
because they hope to get cast so that they have an excuse to take the lessons.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
That's
Different one.
right.
But so you're like legit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I had I've almost died too many times underwater.
Oh, that's how you know it's legit.
That's how you know it's legit. Yeah.
Okay, my husband's not scuba diving anymore. So when you look at somebody's website, one of the things that you should be able to tell is why is it there? Okay, so he is very welcoming, and the first thing he says is welcome. But I need to know he's an actor. I need to know who the House of Carl of House Fisk is. So make sure when you're looking at your own properties that you see that. I'm so proud that you have a website, because how many of you are building a brand, a show, and you don't have a website? Go. Okay.
That's all right. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where we're at, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Because everybody's at a different point in their journey,
Exactly.
and a website's a good thing.
But get one, because it's the only place you own on the web.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be. You take nothing from today. Take that place. So what else do you want to ask?
Yeah.
Because you have the questions I don't.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So
Oh, sorry.
It's
is
okay.
there a
I still
channel-
love you.
is there a channel that you are most interested in focusing on or growing on socials?
I'm interested in Instagram, but lately been noodling with TikTok as a funnel into YouTube.
Cool.
Oh, do you have a YouTube? Yes.
I have for all intents and purposes, no.
A parked.
At the
You have a parked domain or a parked username?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, because that is another thing just in general when you're starting your brand. Try to park it in as many social avenues as you can, right? I personally am never going to use TikTok. It's just not my style, but I have my username, right? People tag me and stuff all the time, and I engage on it, but it's probably never going to have a video on it. Same thing, like I probably won't ever Twitch stream again, but I have one. Those types of spaces, right? Lock that stuff down with your brand, because you never know when you might want to.
It's true. I mean, it's funny. We both have TikToks, but I don't TikTok.
Yeah.
I have actually a question following up on that.
Yeah.
So is it a good idea to, let's say I have a thing that I want to do conversations about, like moral philosophy as applied to the mega societies we live in right now.
Sure.
If I was to do like a moral philosophy channel, should I keep that separate as a completely separate entity, like park something there and then do another thing for like talking about historical combat or something like that? Is it best to separate?
Tyra, this might feed into some of your specialty.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to take this from a writer's perspective. So you might have a writer that writes fantasy and suddenly they're going to do young adult novels. You might not want to cross those streams. So it would be separate. But if they have a point of meeting for you where the fighting and the history are also part of the philosophical conversation, then I don't see a problem with crossing them.
Okay.
Because a lot of people that are into history are also going to be the same target audience that's going to be over here listening to your philosophical conversations.
Okay.
And that's actually something we haven't talked about. Who is your target audience? Who do you see as the people that you want to bring into your content?
So currently, especially for like historical stuff, I'm kind of hitting the nerd demographic because that's my people and everything. Largely targeting those. Most of the stuff that I want to act in, it also blends into there because I like fantasy, history, like those. I like period pieces. Those are the ones I'm most interested in doing. When it gets to moral philosophy, it broadens out a lot more. And it's, for me, it's about like reaching people that like might not get these messages elsewhere. A lot of I want to try to bring it to Middle America with folks who aren't necessarily accessing books or like reading books on moral theory and stuff like that. It sort of spurred off a conversation with my father, who's like takes his morality from other places, and I'm like, we should think for ourselves.
So what I like about that is there's a little bit of cross, but the fact, the historical part that you're interested in, that feeds into your acting as well.
Yes.
Because that audience that he would have by doing those kind of stuff on YouTube are also going to be the same people that are going to see movies that he would be in. So if I'm a casting director and I see that he's got this following already built up, it's in my genre, well, he's going to get a step up. He's going to get a +1. He's going to get a look because he has that. So I think that's really good. That's cool. A really solid foundation.
Yeah.
Mike, you're next.
Yeah. How frequently do you want to engage on social media, right? Is a question that you should be thinking about for yourselves. Some platforms reward a lot of constant work, right? And that's part of why I won't do TikTok, because I can't commit.
I'm inconsistent, I understand.
Yeah, and so some platforms are more comfortable with kind of less posting. And then also, like, as someone who isn't going to chase the algorithm, I don't necessarily care either, right? And so I know a lot of YouTube creators are worried about, I need to create for a video that's X minutes long. I need to post X number of times a week. I need to do this, that, and the other thing. My headshot needs to be in the, the preview or whatever. Where is your kind of appetite for that? It's something everyone should be thinking about, but specifically as we're building this out.
I think we're kindred spirits in that. Yeah, I hate posting on social media. I like to do it as hands off as possible, or like batch schedule things on like business portal or whatever. Minimum amount.
I feel that. And in general, just it's something to think about, right? As you're all kind of building out this brand, like, am I going to commit to posting multiple times on X platform, or I can't even say that anymore.
Yeah. Destroyed
on
variables.
Okay.
N platform. We'll use a different variable.
I finally got the joke. Oh my God, that was so bad.
So yeah, like
Somebody fire me.
whichever platform you decide to post on, right? Am I going to commit to one? Am I going to kind of spread my own personal interests across multiple, right? I personally have been using Threads as like a this is real me. And then I've been using X, Twitter, or whatever we are naming it this week, as like, oh, they put me in the Austin FC MLS soccer bucket. And so that's the only thing I talk about on that platform now, because that's the only people who see my content. And so if I want to engage with anyone on Twitter, it's going to be around Austin related stuff. Otherwise, I will post on Threads. I will post on Instagram if I'm just like, hey, I'm having a good coffee, you know, whatever, right? Like that's where that content will go now.
That was awesome.
Should we get some
Questions from the
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Are you guys good? Oh,
I was
shit,
going to say,
that's
if y'all
gonna
are
be
good with
bad.
Carl,
The art.
I know.
The reflexes though.
Hi.
if y'all are good with Carl, we can send them back
Yeah.
to their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I kind of like Carl being here, but okay.
I mean, me
Yeah.
too. Carl's super
We're getting
interesting. I want to
cozy,
know
you know?
so much more about them after the panel. But in the meantime, he can join us.
Deal.
His party.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl. And then we do have a mic up here in the front for anybody who wants to hop up and ask their questions. Our brand ambassadors here are stoked to help.
Let me tell you, while somebody's walking up, sitting next to her doing this is like freaking amazing. I'm just saying. Ooh.
So
that's bad.
what you guys have been talking about is building a brand for a specific person. Do you do anything different when you're building a brand for maybe a show that encompasses a number of people or a entity as opposed to an individual person?
It's a great question. Tara, you want to hop in first?
Sure. So still some of the same things apply, because when you think about brands, they do have personalities to them. So like if I say Nike to you, you get some adjectives that pop into your head. So let's say you're building for a podcast where you've got several people on it. What is that kind of the personality of the podcast? So like In Addition, how would you describe In Addition?
Yeah, so we do a show called In Addition, which is the View style podcast where four of us who met actually here at DragonCon will bring different topics to each other all the time. Our tagline is finding treasure in the trash, and all of our brand iconography are trash pandas, raccoons. And so like we call ourselves the trash pandas. We've got like, that's kind of been our general, because we're a little chaotic, we're a little weird, but generally we're a little cuddly. And
Except
so
for Stephanie, I found out.
yeah. But so we want to find the heart of the show or the heart of the project, right? Everything, to get a little like wishy-washy about it, right? Everything has its own spirit around it, and finding what the flavor of that thing is what you really want to put front and center, right? I think when you build a collaborative thing, it becomes more than the sum of its parts. And the idea should be that if it's built well enough, it can continue forever, right? The lead singer of Gwar, for example, used to talk about how Gwar will be a band 1,000 years from now. And the character behind the mask, or the character of the mask, will be able to continue on for eternity, because that brand is so strong. Everyone knows what's going to happen to a Gwar concert if they've ever seen a picture, and that will never change. And so if a host moves out of a project, it can continue going if you've built that brand to be that strong.
So think about the personality that you want that show to have. Think about words that you would associate with it, with colors. Same questions that we ask Carl, you can ask of yourselves, to try to find the commonality amongst you that can really like help you figure out what does it need to feel like, you know?
This is such a great panel. And as a designer and illustrator, I help other people solve these problems. So for years, been trying to do it for yourself. It's so hard. Okay, I just
Yes.
want to say it is
Yes.
hard,
Yes.
and it's taken a lot of thought. Yes. So I put a lot of thought, and I've done a lot of work on my own brand. And my question is, because you're talking about acquiring all these different skills. So I've decided to simplify and narrow down. And
Nice.
rather than
Congratulations. We should talk after about how to do that.
I've worked on. I just had a lightning bolt moment. It's been 13 years
Yeah.
of acquiring and then simplifying. So I am no longer doing like I'm a designer and a natural science illustrator and I do this and I do that for all these different people. It's like I do this one thing. I'm a natural science illustrator. Boom. And so my question is, do I, having a somewhat established brand and a small following, do I announce that? Or do I just post content geared more and more, that's really specific to my niche down focus?
It's a great question.
Because that is,
I bet
how
your
do I
content
manage that?
I bet your content already looks that way.
Yes, it's getting there. That's what I was wondering. Do I
mean, look at this.
say, hello world, I am just illustrating butterflies, or do I just show butterflies?
Just show butterflies. And
Yes,
at
and-
some point they'll notice. They're not going to, people they're only half stupid, let's be honest. But
Well, people aren't paying attention. People are paying attention to their own stuff. That's
They
the
do,
thing.
but they might notice a transition, but my guess is you've already been focusing on that.
I have. And so, but the
So
thing is,
that
so
would
I'm
be
not trying to
shocking.
design websites and manage someone's social media and their email marketing and all the other stuff that I might be posting about. So I'm just like letting that go.
Just let it go and just do you, just because you've already been doing it. Whether you notice it, go look at your stuff. You've probably already.
Oh, it's just brand new. This is just like this is an insight. I just literally a moment of clarity that just happened like last week. So that's
So
why.
just as I'm going to call it a life hack because that's an internet term, but there's a beautiful thing about announcing a rebrand and then
Yes.
getting to post it because it is a very
Yes.
easy. I already did all the work. I was going to rebrand anyways, but now I'm announcing it. So now you are saying like, hey, also like if you liked my content already, look, here's this new thing that I'm doing. And that part of it. So for me, I was very much with you. I had a comic banner that I used for shows for like 8 years. And I had so many people come up to me and say, hey, I saw your banner and I knew it was you. So I now had this great fear. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to change the banner because the artwork is old, but I don't want to lose that brand recognition. So I hemmed and hawed over how to take that, which was my first like baby bit, the first one I ever made for my first Comic-Con and all of that. And so I put off my rebrand for a while because I couldn't find that headspace to get into. So as soon as I had the lightning bolt moment and it started to come together, because like you said, I can do this for Carl all day. To sit and do it for myself, I'm like, I have no ideas. I've never made art before in my life.
I know it is. Yes, and I did rebrand with a new logo last year, which I really like, and I've been using and successful. So it's just really announcing the rebranding isn't visual as much as just service offerings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
I
that's-
plus
that's
one,
easy, yeah.
plus one to Swan. I think if you've gone through the work to do that, you should celebrate that work.
Okay, so you would announce.
and I
You
know-
would announce it.
I would. I know
Okay.
Tyra has a different.
No, I announced it when Swan did my logo, and so it was I flopped it everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So don't be afraid of that. But what I was speaking of was that you don't have to like make dramaticness about the content changing because it's probably already
Yeah,
started.
people
to do
probably
that.
won't be
Started.
surprised
But
when
yes.
you do it.
That's what I was kind of hitting at.
Yeah.
They
I was just like,
probably
do I
know.
just say I'm doing this now, or do I just do it? That's
Grip
that's
it and
what-
rip it.
Yes. I
Be
would say-
proud.
Can we
Like,
say-
be proud
can we
of the
say
choice.
both?
It's hard to decide. Like,
It is.
Yeah.
I've been telling people quitting's winning all week, and so like if you quit doing a bunch of stuff like that, you
Okay.
did it.
Yeah,
Like
that's
own
true.
that because you made a decision and then you did it rather than like, oh, I don't know, should I not? Like,
Yeah.
that's a win.
It's really helping a lot.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that your costume goes
Yes,
with it.
you look amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, lately,
I like
I've really,
I like that.
yeah, I've really bought into the idea that like there is no wrong decision. There's only the decision you make, and then what happens after that.
And some of that can really suck, but yes.
Yeah.
But I'm a
Yes,
Virgo,
of
so,
course.
Yeah.
And like you're probably gonna be okay.
Yeah, no. Well, that's my statement.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be fine. Hi, it'll be fine. Whatever you're gonna ask.
Hello. So I am an entrepreneur who's broke, who's bootstrapping his business. I do an indie video game startup, so
Oh yeah.
working with folks trying to get off the ground. So where can someone like me who does not have a lot of money but loves learning and loves just consuming as much information as possible, go to learn some of these graphic design tips and tricks, like for example, the like shorthand for fonts that communicates visual, like certain visual elements. Like where can someone like me go to learn that kind of information?
Great question.
So I have to spend as much money, but maybe still spend money.
So again, much like I mentioned to you earlier, it is what designs that you see jump out at you. What do you like? And again, obviously, for companies that are huge, that spend millions of dollars on logos, we'll say somebody like Blizzard. Blizzard had a whole team working to make something like that. That's their whole goal. They have the money behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much value in the smaller indie companies and the people that they work with in that art style. And I'll say, once you know who the art is or art that is like that, it's joining the art communities. I know for part of my job is teaching. I love to talk to people about this stuff because, dear Lord, I've spent so much time looking at fonts. Please let me talk about it. I have so many fonts I just want to talk about. So I'm happy to talk about that on my Twitch stream. I run a Discord community for artists who are also illustrators and designers. So there's that community in there, and getting in, it could be through, if you are more comfortable on Reddit, finding people in that type of very specific community. Because, you've listened to us talk about like, hey, here's all the things I do. If there's an artist out there looking for work and stuff like that, they're not going to shut up about it. So you'll have that kind of back and forth, and there can be very clear communication between, hey, I am happy to give you advice or things that I know at X point is when I start charging for my services.
Yes.
Yep. And that's fine. And it is the, you can always shoot your shot, always be polite and courteous and go up to an artist and ask them, totally with the understanding that, hey, maybe they are super busy and they don't have time to answer. But there's always the possibility, like, see who they follow, see who they like, who inspires them. That can then lead you to other artists having other communications and kind of that part of it, and doing a lot of research so that when you get your budget together, you know which artist you want to approach. You have the set budget. It was something I know we talked about, but I am so much happier. I have set prices. I'm so much happier when someone comes to me and says, I have $5,000. What can I get with that? Here's what I'd like. What can I get? And I can almost build my services to that, because now I know what the expectation is. I don't like projects coming to me. They're like, I think I have about, this is what I would like. How many hours is that going to be? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how it works that way. That's not how my brain works. So that aspect of doing your research beforehand, finding those communities, getting those questions answered. Then when you do have the budget, you are ready to rock and roll right then. And you've already developed a rapport with the artist or the community.
If you want to learn, I think you want to also learn about typology and what it is. I'm going to give you a business card later. It's going to have my school address, and then I'm going to send you to some websites that have educational information so you can understand the basics of fonts and color therapy.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I highly recommend online courses like Udemy and a lot of different learning spaces online will have either free trials or they will have even free courses. Local libraries do stuff like this all the time. Check in with your local communities. This is when the punk rock comes out too much, is build it locally, and then your small community will grow. And that's true for everything. So you meet other people who are in the same space as you, and then you start sharing that knowledge, and you build this beautiful little utopian community. Next question. Because I will go too long.
Forgive my con voice.
Welcome
It's
to
Sunday.
Con.
Yes.
There, honey.
Oh, I know. So I guess my question is sort of multi-tiered here. I have a brand, Balanced Bev Co. It is not only me. I'm sort of the product here, but I have a physical product. I do a lot of consulting and teaching. I'm a gastronomic mixologist, so I'm focusing on zero proof cocktails and adaptogens, THC, CBD, that kind of stuff. I've been in really high fine dining for a long time, and so now it's kind of an advocacy kind of at this point too.
Nice,
So
yeah.
I think my struggle is that you have me who is the product, because I'm teaching and showcasing and things like that, and doing dinners for people as a sommelier and that kind of thing. But then I have the products that I am making, and then I have sort of this advocacy side. So it's what I think is foundationally the best place to start, because I feel do I do it all at once, which feels a little overwhelming, or is there one of those pieces that I feel is easier to build on? If it's is it building me as a brand and then focusing on the others, or building the product and then focusing on like my name associated with it.
I'm interested to see which one you think.
Yeah.
I know
which
what
one
I
do you
think.
love most?
They're all kind of tied together. I think
Which
that's
one do
been
you
the
love
problem.
most?
Making
your
and
heart.
teaching. I think me
It's
talking
that.
about
There
it,
you go.
it's the science. I
There's
think,
your answer.
yeah.
That's
Like,
it.
Well, and if it's all tied together, it's all going to be centered on you.
mhm.
So figure that part out, and then it's just going to flow into the other two things. So like who you brand yourself as, you're going to take those colors, those fonts, that feeling, and it's going to go into
Oh,
the
it's the
products that you're offering.
1970s lounge vibe. You know what I mean? We've already got that down.
So you know that it's going to flow right into the products you're offering. So,
And are you local?
I am.
What is the name of your teaching?
oh yeah.
Enterprise?
So Balanced Bevco, Sip Savor Be Balanced. We're doing mindful consumption is kind of what I've
Yes.
been really
Dope.
tagging this as. And I will,
DragonCon folks who are local, post-con, you will need to balance a little bit of your con behavior.
yes.
I certainly do.
I'm at Southern National right now with the Ticonderoga guys, and we did. If anyone's interested in sobriety stuff, I just did the creative bar direction at Georgia Boy for 3 years, and we do zero proof pairing there. So it's a good dining experience for anyone sober. By the way, it's a fantastic thing. So thank you.
Where can
Yeah.
people find you on the web?
I'm building my website this week, actually, which
Okay.
but I do have my Instagram, Balance Bevco, my Facebook page, Balance Bevco is up, and then I'm gonna get a TikTok, I think, to do short burst videos of different drinks.
Perfect. I see folks are still lining up.
Yeah.
We're going to take two more really quick. I'm so sorry,
No,
y'all.
No, I have something else to tell you, but after.
okay.
I'll tell you after.
Hi, I'm Austin.
Hey, Austin.
First, I want to thank you all for sharing everything that you know. It's a big help. But so you said you were on X or Twitter. You were in a box of the Austin FC soccer.
Yeah.
What are some like good tips to get into that kind of like the box that I want to be in?
Tweet about it.
Yep.
And engage.
Yeah, and engage with other
Yeah.
people tweeting about it. What happens is they identify, oh, this is the stuff you're talking about. This is the stuff you're liking. This is the stuff that you are responding to. We're going to feed you more of it, and we're going to feed you to the people who are also like you.
Yep.
It's like meant to be helpful until you become someone who is a chaos agent and breaks the algorithm, and then you find out, oh no, I'm stuck. So if you have a goal, oh my god, it's so good at that. So lean into it.
Thank you.
Hello. I was wondering, for those of us who sort of have like a day job and then on the side do something else. For example, I'm a postdoc, so I create some articles or academic papers for that. Should there be a line between like what I do for a day job and then the side, or do you recommend kind of blurring that and making it one cohesive package? Where all does that kind of line up, or thoughts on that?
So realize what you're doing. Like I always say, make conscious decisions. So like if you have children, be conscious about whether or not you're putting them in social media. If you work in academia, like I'm assuming that that's part of what your world is. Obviously, I'm a professor. I don't hide who I am. I always told my students I'm Tyra Burton. I'm Tyra Burton everywhere. And because I did that, that's just how I've approached it. But I also don't put out anything that I think my university would fire me for.
Mhm.
So you have to really think about the area you're in and if it's okay. I teach social media, so it kind of makes sense that I have a social media profile and that I do podcasts and other things. But make that decision very consciously. And if it's not something that gels, then separate them. You know, if you want to stay in academia, because you know how that life is.
Yep.
But yeah, if it's something that can blend and it makes sense to blend, let's say Carl was also a history professor, that would make a lot of sense for
Give
those.
him time. He might.
Yeah, that was true. they could blend together. But if it doesn't blend, I'd separate them. Or if you happen to work in a university, like I worked at a Baptist college, I would not have blended back then. I work for I work for the university system now. So I have a little bit more leeway in what I can have. So I would consider that first. Also look at your policies with your university. If you're connected to a specific university, look at the policies. Same thing with your day jobs, regardless of where they are. Look and see if they have a policy that you have to say, the opinions on this are my own, because a lot of them will. Ours just started that. And so I've got to go back and put that on everything. So look at that. make a decision and then live with it.
Also say there's no shame. So obviously I am my own brand. I sell at shops, I sell at shows. This is me. You're meeting me. But there's also a very specific line between who I am as an artist in a public setting versus who I am as a person. So a lot of what my brand online is the A Swan Named Emily artist person. And I still keep a lot of that other stuff more close to the chest. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're still meeting the authentic me, but you're meeting the brand part of me and that outer part, because it lets me separate it a little bit more because I used my own name in my branding. If I had branded under something where it's just like the art of some made up thing that didn't connect to me, I'd have a little bit more distance. But you have that option to still keep you as a person separate from that public persona and public brand.
Or be me and don't.
Steph's in the middle of typing, so I will let you know that she, as a high school teacher, used to keep her D&D life very separate, right? The characters on our show and high school students like might look at their teacher differently after hearing that podcast, right? Much to our show's chagrin, because she was very popular in high school and kids love D&D, and it would have been great for our numbers. But sometimes you gotta balance what you need, right? I am lucky enough to work for a company that like doesn't really care what we do out of work, and so I'm not afraid to mix those two. When people ask me project management questions on socials that I use to complain about bad calls from the refs and talk about how cute the boys are, like that's fine. But yeah, your mileage may vary, especially depending on your content.
Yes. Oh yeah, that part. I forgot that part.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay.
Academics unite. Okay.
So, I'll go first, Swan, I guess, so that we can kind of pull this together. I think that if you scan this QR code, and I'll put it up at the end as well, you'll see some examples of our pricing pages. So you'll see Swan's kind of different scales of logo design, Twitch emotes, all of those things for branding. For me, it's kind of like, is it a one-page PDF? Is it a full brand kit? Is it a full social media strategy? And then Tyra's as well kind of runs the gamut of different types of offerings. So I'm going to pull this back to here. But I guess what I'll do is I will pull up. It's not done. I did my best. It does say bio.
It's a lot to do it that quickly.
Yeah. Also, I went to your website and took all your pictures. So
I also stole from your pictures.
So we've got the big important thing for you, since you do so many things, is if you're trying to get a writing agent, if you're trying to get an acting agent, if you're trying to be represented, all of this kind of theater related art, you want to make sure that people know exactly what you can do right off the bat. So the first thing you're drawn through, the first thing you're hopefully going to be drawn to in the middle of this page is this fight director, knight, actor, writer. I would reorder those if I did it in more time. But you'll have your content links, you'll have your awards, and you can add anything that you're proud of. Like, be proud of the number of followers you have, even if it feels small to you. Put it out there because it shows that you're paying attention to those things. Any awards you've won, anything that stands out, achievements, your college degrees, things like that like are relevant, put them up there. And then I really liked that font for your name because it looks cool. But let's switch to logo because Swan is gonna blow me out of the water. Swan.
Oh gosh. Wait, I need one more second. Give me one more second.
One more second. I think that the biggest thing is, while you're pushing this, I did a little tagline. You said at the beginning there was a quote, and I only wrote down half of it, so I forgot what the rest of it was. But I wanted to kind of play off of like the pen is mightier than the sword kind of ideal, because if you're writing and if you're using your voice, like your pen and your sword are both very mighty. And I don't want it to sound like this belongs after 10 p.m. But so watch your wording, but like something fighting for a better world, especially with your PTSD doc, is going to be really important. All right.
Yeah.
60 seconds.
Perfect. No, that was great. Also, just a fun design tip for anybody out there. Image, flip, reverse, rotate it, do all of that. And content warning slightly, you're looking for penises and swastikas. Those are bad in design.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
So, by smart. Yeah, look at it in the mirror, look at it upside down, twist it, spin it. We don't want to be surprised once it's gone live.
All right, we're at time, so let's.
That's a top tip.
I went with a very thank you. Yeah, so a banner, like a medieval banner, a house logo, much like you think of Game of Thrones. It encompasses all of those people. It can contain little elements of all the things that you do. I also took a silhouette shot of Carl standing in cool armor with a sword. So you've got this beautiful, very simple, clean line artwork if you want something that's more low, like very simplistic logo first. So those are my two options.
All right, y'all, please rate this panel in the app. We would love to do it again next year. It would be really cool. So rate it in the app. Talk about how you want us to do it again. Mike, where can people find you?
Yeah, Future X Skeleton everywhere, including Linktree.
Kruggles everywhere, including Linktree.
A swan named Emily everywhere.
Tara Burton everywhere.
Please come up and talk to us as you're going if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you,